Good evening, everyone. Thomas here. It's been a pretty hectic week for a lot of us, but I wanted to make a video talking about a couple of things that I feel are important. I'm filming this on September 11th, and I wanted to do a September 11th video, but the time I got into a position where I could record, it's already pretty late, so this may end up being uploaded on the 12th. Now, as many people know, today is the 24th anniversary of the terror attacks on New York, the Pentagon, and the plane that went down in Pennsylvania. Now, I was in eighth grade when the attacks happened. I remember first hearing about it in my Texas history class, but they didn't really tell us much about it. It wasn't until my last period of the day where the teacher took us to the library and turned on the news where we saw the full scope of what was happening. I later went to my grandma's house where my mom was, and they had the news going and just the same videos being repeated, the planes, the towers, and the overall chaos that was happening. Another thing that stood out though was the bravery of those that were helping others and trying to save people. I remember everything quite vividly, even to this day. What also stood out was what happened afterward. The country, regardless of their differences, came together. It was one of the most unifying moments in recent history, but now, 24 years later, it feels like our nation is more divided than ever. Yesterday's tragedy with Charlie Kirk has highlighted that contrast for me. Whether you agreed with Charlie Kirk or not, he was a man of faith.
How would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith.
A man who stood by his beliefs. And I can't say I was a huge follower of his because I haven't seen too much of his content, but from what I did see, I do agree with much of what he said, but not everything, as you would with anybody. He welcomed debate and discussion. He invited people with different opinions to speak, and he genuinely seemed to want to understand the other side before presenting his own position. And for that, he was shot. From what I've seen, he loved his family and cared for people, even those he disagreed with. After the event, there was an outpouring of support and prayers for him, but unfortunately, he didn't make it. What disturbed me the most was seeing the people celebrating his death online. That kind of hatred is unacceptable. The posts and videos I've seen on TikTok and Blue Sky, Instagram, and X are completely disgusting. Not only that, even on Facebook, where you have your actual name, photos, family connections, and business, people are still posting in celebration. I've seen people from various businesses, even game developers, celebrating his death. There's one in particular getting heat, developer at Sucker Punch Studios who's making this game, Ghost of Yotai. Comes out in a few weeks, so I would say we need to give them a message that if these are the kinds of people they're employing, they don't need our business. And I think that's true for anyone who has these types of opinions. We can disagree all we want, but the basic fundamental fact is you shouldn't be celebrating a death like it's a fucking birthday. And I think the rhetoric on these social media sites plays a big role in fueling the division. Constantly labeling opponents as fascists or Nazis or calling for fights in the streets, it radicalizes people and makes them justify it to themselves that these types of actions are acceptable. Violence simply for having a different opinion is never justifiable. Unless explicitly calling for violence or hate against a group, disagreement is not a reason for physical attacks. Now, I did come across a TikTok, and I'm going to share it in the description that I found. It was originally posted by a guy username Reed Choi, and it really stood out. In the video, he plays the role of someone who disagrees with Charlie, but still values his presence on college campuses. His point was exposure to differing opinions is necessary for critical thinking. Colleges shouldn't be echo chambers. Hearing opposing views helps you either strengthen your arguments or reconsider them. And that's the kind of engagement we need more of, not less. My concern that this attack will only radicalize others further and escalate tensions. I hope we don't see more than words exchanged, but I worry about where this could lead. Now, some politicians and others are calling for more gun control, as they always do in events like this. But reports I've seen suggest this wasn't even done with an AR-15 or any other assault rifle that they're trying to ban. It seems like it was done with a hunting rifle. And that's not even the type of gun that they're trying to ban in the first place. And even if it was, I think it's stupid because, as we all know, criminals don't follow laws. That's the whole point. I mean, not to remind you, but this was done in a gun-free zone. What we really need is something more difficult but much more valuable. We need unity again. We need a September 12th, 2001 spirit in 2025, a moment where we put aside divisions and come together as a nation, which I know is a lot to hope for, but we gotta strive for something. At the end of the day, violence against someone for their opinion, especially when that opinion isn't calling for harm, is absolutely wrong. We can and should argue, debate, and disagree, but violence is not the answer. I hope those watching can at least agree with that. Now, that's about all I got today. If you agree with me, or if you don't agree with me, share your thoughts in the comments. To honor Charlie's legacy, I'll welcome any discourse that anybody wants to bring. And I hope everyone in the comments chooses to do the same and not resort to hateful speech. But anyways, thank you very much. Like and subscribe, and hope you have a good rest of your day.